Hey, get out of here, you damn boo hag!
Boo what?
Yeah, I saw you jumping through the air back there. Ain't no one but a boo hag can do that. They ain't gonna steal my soul while I sleep.
Look, I'm sorry. I need a bottle.
Yeah? Even you're not a boo hag, come up on this porch and prove it. I know full well you boo hags can't abide the color blue.
See? I ain't no boo hag.
Well, maybe you ain't. Thing is, I need all my bottles. Just for Haints.
Wait, you see him too?
Well, I ain't entirely seen one. But they bite, and they clump up around places of old pain. You know, some folks say that if you scoop up those clumps, put them in a bottle and put that bottle in a bottle tree, you could cure the pain. Hasn't really worked out for me just yet, but...
Maybe I could help bottle up the pain.
That's why I'm the last person left here. All those damn Haints. This part of the river's filthy with them. Ever since my brother went missing.
If you let me take a bottle, I could help.
Well, get you one off the tree then. And you're welcome to try bottling up the pain. But the roots of this trouble go deep.
The roots of this trouble go deep.
Benjy and his brother's troubles began when they were forced to move again. Their ma thought it best for Benjy, who was bullied badly for being in his own world. But Rhubarb would not forgive him for uprooting their life. When the townsfolk caught wind of Benjy's difference, they started throwing rocks at him and his brother. Rhubarb was not surprised. Bad people always prey on those who stand out.
Is that Benjy? Huh. He had a nice smile back then. She looks starved. Rhubarb? That old guy who gave me the bottle? He looked like Benjy's brother. No wonder he knows so much about Benjy's pain.
The bear trap was meant for Benjy. There weren't no bears around here. To Rhubarb, it was proof that things was going to get a lot worse, just like last time. There was no escaping it. While Benjy's love was as true as his heart, Rhubarb was tired of tending to his needs instead of showcasing what he could do. By this point, Rhubarb felt he had moved enough. When Rhubarb said go inside the hollow tree for a game, Benjy did it. Even when he was nailing the hollow shut, Benjy trusted him. There must have been a moment when Rhubarb decided to leave him there. And a moment when Benjy, trapped inside that tree, finally understood. He must have cried to the heavens. Somehow the tree took pity, and somehow Benjy become the tree. But he'd never forget that the brother he had loved had done this to him.
Wow. What kind of magic is that? And what kind of man would kill his own brother?
Two-Toed Tom wasn't always a giant alligator. He started out as the pet of old Farmer Swoops, who'd starve his own kin so they'd behave. Tom's trouble began when Jolene Swope started earning. Old Farmer Swope knew it was a matter of time before she'd run away. When Jolene moved out, mean old Swopes come round to force her to come home. He starved poor Tom, so that when Swopes rang the dinner bell, Tom went crazy with hunger. Jolene was scared, all right, but she was done being scared of what her daddy was gonna do to her. Poor Tom had cried from hunger all the nights his supper was taken. Some say he once bit his own toes off for something to eat. Imagine when Jolene rang his dinner bell and he saw old Swope just laying there all juicy. Jolene's guilt got the best of him, despite telling herself it wasn't murder. If her daddy didn't punish her and Tom all those years, they wouldn't have done what they did. She vowed to dedicate herself to good works and let the Lord sort it out. After Jolene let Tom go loose, he discovered the pig farm. How had Swoops kept this miraculous place secret from him? Tom ate everything he could clamp his jaws on. He didn't care if it was a pig or a washing machine. If you go hungry when you're young, you never trust in the next meal. You'll eat even if you're full, just in case. Tom never felt like he'd ever have enough. Parents always have a favorite, even if they don't admit it. Bunny's favorite was her daughter, Cherie, whom she'd hoped to groom into a force surpassing her own one day.
She wasn't watching her either.
When the sister got her dress dirty again, Trey tried to rinse her off in the water. I don't believe Hazel's dad meant to do it. He just didn't count on how slippery she'd be. Bunny never forgave him. In a way, Trey lost his sister and his mama that day. Even before the accident, Hazel's dad knew Bunny didn't care for him. When his sister got her dress dirty, he was punished for letting it happen. He didn't complain life was unfair. That's just how things was. They say the soul lingers a bit with the body it belonged to. And so it was with Bunny's baby Cherie. Bunny's dream of crafting her daughter into her own likeness, a power spun of unnatural means, was shattered. But she never lost hope she'd bring Cherie back to life someday. She stole the Benjy tree's heart for its magic, to keep her daughter trapped here instead of going where it is baby souls go. I don't think she ever considered what Cherie would have wanted. A child's heart ain't big enough for all the sorrows that want to fill it. With a doctor, Laurent's mama might have lived, but Daddy only got paid to company script. And doctors only took cash money. Daddy barely got out of bed or washed most days now. Laurent had to catch their dinner or go hungry. He was all alone, trying to press down on a wound too deep to mend. On his mama's birthday, Laurent ran away, crying out like a wounded owl. Daddy always warned him not to show his pain. You got to hide it, Daddy said. Push it down and bury it. But in the heart of the woods, Laurent found himself consumed by it. Each time Laurent saw that sawmill boss drive by in a fancy car, he felt like a knife was twisting in his belly, cutting deeper each time. That man wouldn't even miss the money that could have saved Laurent's mama. Laurent missed his mama so much he couldn't stand it. He went to fight the factory boss to tell him all, but his daddy tried to stop him. And when his daddy saw the depth of Laurent's pain, that's when he got mad. The boss was always afraid of his workers. That's why he kept a gun in his office. He didn't mean for it to go off. Probably. Didn't stop the bullet from punching through Daddy's skull, ending his life in a blink. With his daddy's blood dripping down his chin, Laurent couldn't hold his feelings in anymore. They burst through his skin like feathers. His anguish seemed to lift him up into the air. The terrified sawmill boss drove away as fast as his fine car would go. And the wrong flew after him, carried aloft by currents of his own torment. Live in the hollow, calloused hands and hearts. Ever grown-up Itchy turned to, treated children like nails awaiting a hammer. His pappy, well, he did worse. Come night, Itchy dreamed about peculiar angels who'd enfold his aching body into their soft, heavy wings. One by one, Itchy's school friends changed. They talked about Miss Molly, that old recluse who nobody'd ever laid eyes on. But them brave enough to venture into her house on the hill came back with toys and treats and clothes that weren't hammered down. Itchy couldn't help but reckon about all the possibilities his old pappy beat him out of. Everyone called it an accident, but Itchy's eyes hung on a red yarn wrapped around the body. The morning prior, he'd swung by the house on the hill but hadn't found the soul. Strings of red had led him to a crackling fire, where he'd spilled his secrets, even those about his pappy. Today, the summer heat roasted his pappy on the concrete. With his pappy gone, it was only natural Itchy would do what he'd been raised to do. He blamed himself. If only he hadn't spilled his guts to Miss Molly, maybe the man who hurt him could have found something to love in him. He sought some divine absolution for his guilt, but someone else would listen. When word spread of what Itchy said regarding Molly, the hollow folk decided to pay her a visit. They'd always been afraid of the tales surrounding her eerie house on the hill. But instead of an old recluse, they found a monstrous creature. Terrorized, she fled from the house and hollow, but not forever. Huggin Molly came back for the callous children, one by one enfolding their aching bodies into her soft, long arms. Except for Itchy, who had driven Miss Molly away. When Ayotunde caught wind of whispers about the thriving, freed settlement in the swamps nearby, hope bloomed in her heart. She dreamed of a better future for her son than what waited them upriver. So when Bella Prospero drifted closer to the swampy shores, Ayotunde risked everything. Ayotunde plunged into the unknown for the sake of her baby. But upon shore, she was pursued by the crew and stumbled in the darkness. With her heart pounding, she bit back the urge to cry out to him, gritting her teeth raw to seal her sob. If caught, no one would save her baby. Once the crew vanished, she tore through the night, fighting through the thick undergrowth to find her lost baby. Gripped by despair, she hummed a lullaby softly, hoping against hope for her baby's giggles to pierce the icy air. But that swamp, it just kept stretching on and on, till a peculiar lantern flickered into view, right beside his tiny mud-streaked blanket. But there was no baby left to be found, not anymore. And the wail of grief that echoed through the swamp was so raw and monstrous that the captain ran the boat aground in his panic. Ayotunde never gave up searching for her baby, and the search changed her. She didn't know this was a magical swamp, or that a giant flower had sheltered her baby and kept him safe. The crew in their last moments were stunned to see this monstrous creature smashing the boat in her rage, like an angel of vengeance. She went so deep into her grief she couldn't see the light in the darkness. Another peculiar lantern, searching for her, offering hope. Ayotunde never did find her lost baby.